Hey, we're live with another off the cuff hangout. But today I got a topic. I got a real topic. Hopefully the sound is good. I've got my AT, whatever this guy is, nice little Audio Technica microphone. Got my headphones on so we don't echo too much. But I'm in the tiki bar and there's a high roof here, so we'll tend to get a lot of echo when I record here. Let's see how it sounds. Today's topic: would you buy a car to use for Uber? Now, if you already have a car and you're thinking about becoming an Uber driver, it's kind of easy. It just has to be a 4-door or an SUV that's newer than, I forget what the number is. The year is like 2007. But what if you don't have a car? Or what if you're already an Uber driver and you're thinking about getting a new ride so you could step up your game and bring in more than just UberX rides? You know, you want to go for an Uber black car or an SUV or an XL. What should you buy? Should you buy a car? Is it a good deal? Now, here's the thing. Back in, I think it was November of 2013, Toyota and General Motors announced that they were going to do a program, a deal with Uber to help get Uber drivers into brand new cars. Uber is desperate to bring on more drivers, and they're desperate to have a higher quality car. They don't want people riding around in claptraps. They want nice, clean, late model cars. So what makes a great Uber car? Well, it's got to have a lot of space. It's got to be comfortable. I think you're better with a leather or pleather interior. If you're going upscale, you don't want cloth, because cloth is just going to soak up the stains and the smell, right? Leather or pleather, right? A synthetic is going to be more resistant to that. But how much should you spend, and what should you go for? It's a big question. So I'm looking into this. The truth is, what I do is it's a great lifestyle, right? Being an automotive media person. I'm not a journalist because I don't have a journalism degree. But if you're in the automotive media and you get new cars all the time and you get to go to these events and you fly all over, you stay in great places, it's a lot of fun. If you love cars, it's a whole lot of fun. If you love great hotels and you like eating and that life, it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. But the bottom line is, it's a terrible way to make a living, because the pay, it kind of sucks. There's just not a lot of money in it. So I've been looking for other ways to supplement my income. And one of the things I thought about is Uber. Because bottom line, I love to drive. I absolutely love to drive. Don't like driving in traffic. And I'm not really crazy about driving in Manhattan. I do it when I have to. I don't want to be a Manhattan Uber driver. But I thought, you know what? Maybe I could be like an airport driver. Just take people to the airport, pick them up at the airport. Those runs could be pretty good. They roll up a lot of miles on your car, which is not good from a maintenance perspective, but might be worthwhile. So I started looking into, well, all right, I don't have a car I can use. Not here. There's nothing in my driveway that I could use as an Uber car. So if I want to be an Uber driver, I got to buy something or lease something. Now, Uber is making it easy for people to get into new cars, people that otherwise might not qualify for a loan. So there's some real interesting stuff that you got to consider. Real interesting stuff here. I'm going to take a moment here, and I'm going to send this link out to Twitter to see if I can pick up some of my friends, to see if they want to jump into the conversation. The conversation is, would you buy a car for Uber? Which one? And we're going to let them know. I'm streaming live right now. And there goes the tweet. We'll see if anybody picks up on that. You know, I sent an invite out on Google Plus. Nobody popped in because nobody's on Google Plus. You know what I'm saying, right? So nobody popped in from that. We'll see if a tweet brings in anyone. And I'm going to also go to the live event page, and I'm going to go see what it looks like. Go live now. I am live. Okay. It's a little funny sometimes. No, now it's opening up a second one. I'm about to join a hangout on there. Look at this. I'm joining now from the outside. So, okay, got it. I've read the rules and understandings. Okay, I got it. Now I'm going to go join it. I'm already in a video call. Take me there. I'm going to close that. It's confusing. You know, that's the bottom line is Google stuff. The interface isn't always the best. Not always the best. Anyway, so we did that. Let's see if anybody responds on Twitter. See if anybody jumps in from Twitter. And I'm going to go back to that live event page. And I'm going to, come on. It's not showing up, man. It's just really weird. Live now, resume, live control room. That's what I want to see. Or if I click this. Oh, hey, now I'm working. Got to turn my speakers off because sound is actually pretty good. Now I'm just going to echo. I'm going to echo in my own ears. And who knows if anybody's going to tune in here, but we're going to keep rolling. So, yeah, I'm looking into this. Should I buy a car for Uber? Which cars are going to work? So I did a little bit of looking around this morning, and I'm going to see if I can post some of this right into the description. Won't let me put it into the description. Won't let me just pop something into the description. But there is a page on the Uber NYC website. It's a full list of vehicles. And I'm going to do a screen share here in a sec so we can scroll through it. But in the meantime, I'm going to post it over to the chat. And that way, if you log in, you can scroll through it on your machine. And I'm going to tell if it's it's the full list of Uber vehicles. Oops. Why did that give me a there we go. Comments can't contain links. Please put the link in your video description and refer to it in the comment. Well, here we go again with Google making things easy for us or not. This is an or not situation because I would like to just post this right into the comments, but they don't want people spamming the comments. Which, yeah, I guess I can accept that being a good thing. Just makes it difficult for me to administrate here. So, hey, if you're popping in and you got questions, hit me with a question in the chat box, and I'm also going to check Twitter to see if anyone has got questions there. So we got the full vehicle list, and I'm gonna do a screen share, so you can do a screen share. I'll post this in the comments later on. But if you want to look for it on your own, it's driveubernyc.com/vehicles/full-list/. So that's the URL. And if you want to go scroll through it yourself, I'll add it to the comments later on. So if you're checking this out later on, you can have access to it immediately because I'm too stupid to figure out how to do it. So right now I'm going to do a screen share, and we're going to go right here to the full vehicle list, and we're going to switch from my happy face to this list, and we're going to roll through and take a look at some of these vehicles. All right, present to everyone. Okay, we're presenting this to everyone. So here's this list. Let's see if we can scroll. There it is. We're scrolling. That looks good. Should be bigger. See if I can make it bigger. Hold on. Bear with me for a sec. I'm doing this on my MacBook without any extra screens on it. So got to maneuver the windows around. So let's roll through this list, and starting with Acuras, because it starts with A, kind of like AAA. You want to be at the beginning of the book. Right off the bat, the ILX is not acceptable. The TLX is not acceptable. The TSX Sport Wagon is not. The ZDX is not. The RDX is fine for an UberX. The TL is fine for an UberX. The RL and the RLX are fine for Uber Black. So that's where we are with Acura. I'm not going to go through all of these, but I'll point out some of the highlights. With Audi, you can't use an A3 or a Q3. Sorry, you're out of luck. It's too small. The A4 is acceptable for UberX. And then once you get up to an A6, A7, A8, of course, those are all Uber Blacks. And they even have the audacity to include the RS7. Would you use an RS7 as an Uber Black car? I don't think so. But I think an Audi diesel would be lovely as an Uber car. I think a Volkswagen, the Passat, the Volkswagen Passat, the Volkswagen Jetta. Let's go check those out. We're going to go all the way down to the bottom and see what it says about Volkswagens. And let's see. Well, you can't use a Beetle. You can't use a Golf. And then forget the Golf Sport Wagon. Those are not acceptable. The Jetta is okay as an UberX car. Not the Jetta Sport Wagon, but the Jetta. So you could go for a Jetta TDI as an UberX car, which is good, real good to know. The CC is acceptable as an UberX car, which, hey, CC is a really cool car. I love the interior, but I don't know, the back seat's a little tight maybe for use as an UberX. But the one that really hits the mark is the Passat because it's roomy. You know, both the Passat and the Jetta both have roomy back seats, the newest one. So those are great choices, but they're not in this official program. So there are 3 manufacturers that are in this official Uber program, and that's Toyota, General Motors, and Ford. So, you know, we should probably look at those first. Since I'm all the way down at the end of the alphabet. Let's look at which Toyotas are acceptable. Can't use a 4Runner. The Avalon and the Camry are acceptable for UberX, as is the Prius plug-in and the Prius V, the RAV4, all good for UberX. Can't use a Tacoma, obviously. The Sienna works for Uber XL, and I think that might be a great choice for Uber XL. You know, the minivans feed a ton of people real comfortably, so that minivan's a good choice for an Uber car, and XL gives you that extra room. So that's something you want to look at. You know, do you want to be an XL driver? What's extra large? The Highlander is good for XL. The Land Cruiser is acceptable as Uber Black. Interesting, real interesting. And what else here? Well, yeah, the Sequoia works for the Uber SUV because that is a gigantic beast. Let's roll over to Ford and take a look at Ford and see which works. Now for Ford, you got a lot of choices, a whole lot of choices. I think the C-Max Hybrid and the C-Max Energy are ideal for use as UberX cars because they are very economical to operate. They've got plenty of room in the back. I think you're going to have happy riders in a C-Max, either the Energy or the hybrid. The Energy being the plug-in one, so you could plug it in overnight and just run on electricity. The Edge, the Escape hybrid all work as UberX cars. The Expedition, obviously, the gigantic Expedition works as an Uber XL. The Explorer works as the Expedition works as Uber SUV. The Explorer works as Uber XL. You're out of luck if you have a Fiesta, because that won't work for anything. You wouldn't want to subject your riders to that. They're not going to allow it. The Flex works as an Uber XL. Flex is fantastic. It's roomy. One of my favorite sort of wagon, not SUV vehicles. If you have a Focus, you're out of luck. If you have a Fusion, you're in luck because that'll work, right? The Fusion will work. The Fusion Hybrid, the Fusion Energy will work as Uber X, and X for excellent on the Energy and Hybrid because they are very fuel efficient. The Taurus also works as an Uber X, but not as Uber Black, which is very interesting. Now, I don't see any Fords that are acceptable as Uber Blacks. Expedition is great as an Uber SUV, but there's not one Ford that's acceptable as an Uber Black. And that includes the Crown Vic. So if you think you're going to use a Crown Vic and make it spiffy and as no, you're out of luck, man. That's just not going to work. Which brings us to Lincoln, right? The other Ford brand, since there's no more Mercury, we just have Lincolns. They might list Mercury. So let's take a look to see. Maybe you could pick up an older Mercury. Oh yeah, they still list Mercuries, and they only are acceptable as UberX cars. So you have a Grand Marquis, a Mariner, a Milan Hybrid, or a Mountaineer. You can use that older Mercury for UberX. Obviously, you can't buy a new Mercury because they don't make them. Let's take a look at Lincolns. So the Lincoln lineup. The MKC is only acceptable as an UberX. The MKS is only acceptable as an UberX. The MKT and the MKX both work for Uber Black. The MKZ and the MKZ Hybrid only work as UberX cars. Now, if you pick up your UberX ride in an MKZ Hybrid, they're going to be ultra happy because, boy, that is one sweet car. And if I could buy one car for UberX that I think would surprise and delight my hypothetical riders, it might just be the MKZ Hybrid because they would love the luxury and you'd love the operating cost because it is very economical to drive. Two more on the Lincoln list. The Navigator works as an Uber SUV. And the Town Car only works as an UberX. Why is that? I don't know. When's the last time they made a Town Car? I'm not sure. A Town Car doesn't work as Uber Black anymore because it's not new enough or something. I believe they're discriminating against Lincolns. So go ask me. I don't know why. I'm going to see if we got any feedback on Twitter. No feedback on Twitter. And no comments in the live chat yet. Don't know why nobody's awake yet on Saturday morning. I'm going to just stop for a second and have some tea. Yummy. Absolutely yummy. Okay, let's go back to that list, that full vehicle list. And we're going to take a look at some General Motors products. Starting with Buick, because it's at the beginning of the list. The Buick Anthem. I can't remember seeing a Buick Anthem. That's acceptable as an UberX. The Buick Enclave works for Uber Black. The Buick Encore works as an UberX. The Buick LaCrosse works as an Uber Black. The Lucerne as an UberX. The Regal as an UberX. And the Verano, not acceptable. So you're not acceptable. Sorry, Verano, you're not acceptable. So Anthem is an UberX, Enclave, Uber Black, Encore, UberX, LaCrosse, Uber Black, Lucerne, UberX, Regal, UberX, Verano, doesn't work. Now, of these cars, I love the LaCrosse. The LaCrosse just might be the sweet spot. There's a real fuel efficient version of it. It's big, it's roomy, it's got all this stuff. Your customers are going to love it. They might not believe that it's a Buick. You want to debadge it? That's up to you. Let's roll down a little bit to the Cadillac and see what works. Boy, there's a long list of Cadillacs here. Starting with the ATS. Sorry, if you have an ATS or an ATS-V, that is not acceptable. It doesn't work. The CTS, however, is fine for Uber Black. Lovely car. CTS Coupe, of course, is not accepted because you can't jam a rider into a coupe. You can't expect that. The CTS Wagon, yes, my friends, Uber Black, acceptable. I love that. And the CTS V is also Uber Black because you're going to pick up your riders in a CTS V. Not. Or perhaps the CTS V Wagon. Yeah, the CTS V Coupe, of course, it's a coupe. It's not acceptable. The DTS, Uber Black, the Escalade ESV, the Escalade Hybrid are all good for Uber SUV. The SRX, the STS, and the XTS are all qualified as Uber Black cars. So basically, if you're looking for one brand that's going to work, Cadillac, with the exception of the coupes, might be the pick. Let's take a look at the Chevrolets. And boy, oh boy, are there a lot of Chevrolets. Starting with the Aveo. Of course not. You'd never use an Aveo as an UberX car because it's probably the worst car that General Motors has built in recent memory. The Captiva Sport, UberX. The City Express, not acceptable. The Cobalt, not acceptable. The Colorado, hey, it's a pickup truck, it's not acceptable. The Cruze, not acceptable, which really bums me out because I think the Cruze diesel would be an awesome UberX car for long distance travel. And I think that they should be petitioned that it should be acceptable. We need to find out why. Is it like not enough space in there? Because that would be the ideal long distance UberX car for airport work. You know, when you got long trips to make to the airport, that diesel engine, boy, there's nothing more fuel efficient than that. The Equinox is acceptable for UberX, the HHR, the Impala, the Malibu Hybrid. Now, here's the thing. The Malibu is acceptable for UberX, but the Cruze isn't. We got to look at the exact numbers to see how much less rear seat room there is in a Cruze than there is in a Malibu. But I think that's not fair. But hey, maybe the Malibu should get a diesel engine. I think so. Obviously, the Silverado is not acceptable. The Sonic, the Spark, they're not acceptable. Of course not. Of course not. The SS is acceptable as an Uber S car if you want to get there really fast. Your insurance would be a little high. The Suburban, the Tahoe Hybrid are all obviously Uber SUV. The Traverse is Uber XL. The Trax, sorry, your little Trax is not acceptable. And the Volt is not acceptable either. So, not the current Volt. We got to see about the new one, the 2016, which just premiered, because I think, again, the Volt would be a pretty cool car if there was more room, and there is more room in the back seat of the new upcoming Volt. So we'll see if they make that change. I think that Uber should be petitioned for change on both the Volt, the 2016, and the Cruze diesel, because those would both be great cars. So what have we done? We've done Buick, we've done Chevrolet, we've done Cadillac, and what's the other General Motors brand? Let's see. Oh, GMC. Let's take a look at the JMCs. The Acadia is acceptable as Uber XL. The Canyon, of course not. The Sierra, of course not. They're pickup trucks. The Terrain is acceptable as an Uber X car. Now, I could almost go, could you use a Terrain as Uber Black, or it's just not impressive enough? They don't believe it. The Yukon Uber XUV for the Yukon Hybrid and Yukon XL, they all qualify. So there you go. That's your General Motors, because the other General Motors vehicles just aren't sold anymore. You know, what else could you pick them up with that would be acceptable? It's UberX. Well, if it for new, you're out of luck because all those other brands are gone. But let's take a roll down and see if some of the legacy vehicles are still there. Right? And when did they stop making the Pontiac? Take a look at this. The Pontiac G6 and Vibe are both acceptable as UberX cars. So if you are looking for an inexpensive used vehicle to use, you might not do too poorly with either the G6 or the Vibe. Very interesting, right? The Vibe is actually the Toyota Matrix, right? They were built in the same factory. You could get that with all-wheel drive. So if you're driving in an area where your inclement weather is a factor, right? You got snow, the Vibe, an all-wheel drive Vibe might be a cool, inexpensive choice. The G6, there's a lot of those out there, and the place to find the G6 inexpensively is the GSA auto auctions, the Government Service Administration's auto auctions, because they bought a ton of those. The G6 just might be the ideal car to get started with as an UberX driver if you're going to buy a car. If you don't want to get hooked into the whole new car thing, the G6 just might be it. I think we figured something out here today, kids. Obviously, there's no Oldsmobiles because they've been long gone. Let's take a look. Are any Hummers listed? No, they don't list any Hummers because who would want to be seen riding around in a Hummer Uber? Just not good. Just not good. So I'm gonna poke back and get out of the screen share mode here and stop that. Hey, we got 3 viewers. That's cool. I haven't been looking. So I'm going to take some questions. If there's any questions, let's go take a look and see if there's any questions. Hey there, Jay. Sorry for interrupting your topic, but how much money on average can you make if you're a part-time Uber driver? I don't know. It's a mystery. You get a percentage of the ride. And let me tell you straight up, I am not shilling for Uber because I think a lot of what they do is a little evil. So what I'm proposing here is that I go in and sign up and investigate this. I'm not a journalist. I don't have a journalism degree, but I could be like an investigative blogger or vlogger. I want to find out because I need a couple bucks, man. I got bills to pay. I gotta keep the lights on here at the Tiki Bar, and just doing a car reviews ain't cutting it, kids. So, Jay, it's not an interruption, man. You have more questions, hit me with them because that's what keeps things going here, and that's what keeps things going. Having a little bit of problem speaking this morning because I haven't had enough caffeine, and there's nothing else but caffeine in here. Oh wait, this doesn't have caffeine. This is like a horrible apple flavor. So, you know what we could do? We could take a look at some of these cars on the websites, or I could hit you with some of these stories. Here, so Jay, I want to go to the auto manufacturers and ask them, could you somehow work this out so we can test without me getting hooked up with these big scary loans? Because the scary part is that Uber is encouraging people into signing up for subprime loans. So I'm going to just click over to a story from Valleywag that was posted back in November. And we're going to go back to screen share. So you don't have to see me reading, because who wants to see that? Hold on a sec. Start the screen share. Present to everyone. Okay. So here it is. Uber and its shady partners are pushing drivers into subprime loans. This is pretty scary stuff. Basically, they want to get their drivers on the hook. The manufacturers get to move a car, and the people that are loaning them money are charging some pretty large rates. I'm just going to read you the lead to this. The subprime lending market that plunged America into the Great Recession is back and as unscrupulous as ever. Instead of mortgages, this time a bubble has formed around auto loans, and reliably ruthless Uber is in the thick of it. Two partners in Uber's vehicle financing program are under federal investigation, but Uber hasn't slowed its aggressive marketing campaign to get drivers with bad credit to sign up for loans. Regulators started looking at subprime auto lending this past summer. General Motors and Santander Consumer USA, both partners in Uber's vehicle financing service, received subpoenas from the Department of Justice in August. The DOJ targeted GM Financial, the auto manufacturer's in-house finance division, and Santander Consumer, the American auto loan unit of a powerful Spanish banking group, because they are the top issuers of securities related to subprime auto loans, not for anything related to the role in Uber's financing program, which only launched last November. Regulators are concerned that hastily packaged loans are being included with investments sold to pension funds and insurance companies. However, the deals that Uber sends drivers are the same kind of subprime loans that are under investigation. Now, there's a clarification and an update from General Motors and GM Financial. They reached out to Valleywag and offered this. General Motors values its business relationship with Uber drivers who, as independent business operators, are qualified fleet purchasers. GM Financial, the captive auto finance company for GM, does not have a formal partnership with Uber and does not participate in Uber's vehicle financing program. So there's some real shady stuff going on here. And we're not pointing at anyone in particular, but basically, Uber wants to get you to sign up for these loans. And you're on the hook, man, for a lot of money. I can't go into the details here because I've got to go and read it all in detail, right? And distill it for you. But basically, they're trying to get you on the hook so that they have a large base of drivers in nice, clean, new cars. Is it a good thing? If you as a driver can make money, that's great. But if you don't understand what the math is going in, you can get you can get hooked up with the wrong kind of deal, and all of a sudden, it's a losing proposition. So you've got to really investigate it. You got to really investigate it. Oh, I'm just checking my my Twitter list here. Let me get out of that. And going to stop screen sharing. Just wanted to check to see if anybody was going to jump in from Twitter. I sent an invite out, but I'm also discussing this over on a new website, Charlie Alpha Romeo. Interesting little discussion we got going on over there. So Jay wrote, yeah, I have a story. A friend of mine who was an immigrant in the U.S., he wasn't successful to get his papers to be a legal citizen in the U.S. Now he's 16 years in here, no degree, been in taxi most of his days. Now he can't even buy a car there. And to try this Uber thing, he's just unlucky, and I feel bad for him. Yeah. Immigration's a deal that's got to get straightened out. He's got to get straightened out. And I don't know. Congress is weird about that. They just need to give people a pathway to be legal. You're here. You're working in. You're doing the right thing. They just need to clean up that procedure. So I'm going to go. Let's take a look over at Lincoln. We'll take a look at some of the cars that Lincoln offers. And I'm going to go back and do a screen share here. I'm going to go back to screen share one more time. And we're going to take a look at the Lincoln MKZ hybrid, which I think is one of the prime vehicles. If you're going to get something new, this is probably in my top three. I don't know if it's number one or not, but it's definitely my top three to consider. Starting MSRP of $35,190. A lease for a normal person with decent credit would be $299 a month for a 36-month lease with $3,529 due at signing. That's a big chunk of change, right? That's a big chunk of change for someone to put up front. $299 a month looks pretty good, but if you got to put $3,500 down, that's a lot. It's a lot. It's a sweet car. I like the MKZ a lot. It's not as roomy, obviously, as the bigger vehicles. You're not going to qualify for Lincoln Black status, which is unfortunate. But if you have your choice between an MKZ and an MKZ hybrid, I would absolutely go for the hybrid. And would you get it in black? Black looks great as long as you're keeping it clean. But if you can't keep it clean all the time, you're better with a different color. With a different color. Take a look at that interior. I mean, that is just a sweet, sweet interior. People are going to ride in that. They're going to feel like they're in a limo. You've got all the latest stuff. You can get all the latest stuff. And, hey, how about heated rear seats? That's a nice thing for your riders to have. They will be surprised and delighted to find that on a cold day. The sound system is good. You could punch in their favorite station. The leather upholstery is absolutely splendid. It has the safety equipment that will be ubiquitous soon. Things like adaptive cruise control. Fantastic thing to have on a highway. And the front seats, if your rider's going to ride in front, you can get the optional ventilated or air conditioned front seats in addition to heating. Again, something that will delight them if they sit in front. Sweet car. I have not tested it. I have ridden in it. I have not tested it. It is a lovely car. Handsome. Maybe the interior is not as big as some. You know, what colors would you go for? I don't know. You know. Again, it starts out. Oh, there's the Lincoln Black label. You could build one custom built. Maybe I would do that. Custom built from the top down. Let's try that. And we'll give them some kind of phony. Give them a New York sort of thing here. Lincoln MKZ hybrid. Yeah, we want that. Starting $35,190. You can only get it with front-wheel drive, not with all-wheel drive. Standard features, a lot of great stuff. Driver's seat memory, 10-way heated power front seats with 2-way power lumbar. 60/40 split rear bench if you need to carry a bunch of stuff. You have the premium audio system. Genuine wood trim on the doors. Leather wrapped steering wheel. It might not have a leather interior from the base. It looks like it might not, which could be okay. Again, if it's your Uber car and not your personal car. You go for hybrid select, it adds a wood steering wheel, ambient lighting, some nice little things. Oh, and that's where you get the leather for only another $23 a month or $19.35. So maybe you want to go with that hybrid select package. The hybrid reserve package is where you're going to get blind spot information, which is really important. If you're backing up in traffic, then you'll get your nav there. That's where you're going to get the cooled perforated leather driver and front passenger seats, the heated steering wheel, the heated rear seats, an embedded modem. Kind of interesting. So yeah, I maybe go for the hybrid reserve. It's, hey, you got to figure out how much it's going to cost you and how much you're going to make back from it. I'm going to pop back here. Oh, hold on a second. Let me pop back here for a sec, and I'll get this other one queued up. So if you got money to spend, if you think you're going to get it back, Lincoln might be a great way to go. I think the Buick LaCrosse might be a great one too. The Camry hybrid. I just reviewed the Camry hybrid. Sweet car. I like that one. All right, hold on one second here. Hold on one second, and I want to take you to something that you may have not ever seen before. Jay says, yeah, it looks classy from inside. It is a real that is a real classy. How about the Audi A7? It's expensive but very fuel efficient. Oh yeah. I don't think you could afford to use an A7 as an Uber vehicle. Where was that vehicle list? I think they qualified should qualify as a black car. Let's see. The A7 qualifies as a black car. The A7 TDI would be fabulous. I did a review of that. That's in my channel. It would be a fabulous car to use for Uber Black. That would definitely make your riders happy. It's just that the acquisition cost is pretty high compared to that. We'll take a look at the Audi website and see where it starts. Audi or Audi? It's up to you. Quite honestly, I say Audi, but I've said Audi. Audi? You tell me. Someone's going to complain either way. I'm from Jersey, so. The A7 starts at $65,900. And if I were to build one, I would go for the TDI. The TDI starts at $68,300 as Premium Plus, and $72,150 for Prestige. So that's double. That's twice the price of the Lincoln. I love Audis, but it's twice the price of the Lincoln. It's a lot of cash. So I'm going to go someplace that you might not have thought about, and that is the GSA auctions. I mentioned that the Pontiac G6 might be the sweet spot. And there are oodles. There are absolutely oodles of autos in GSA fleet sales. So here here we go. Hold on one second. I'm going to go just switch the screen chat one more time. Screen share one more time. And this is the GSA fleet sales page. So if you're looking for this, it's autoauctions.gsa.gov/GSA auto auctions/. You may not know this, but your Uncle Sam wants to sell you a car. They get rid of 40,000 vehicles every year. And right now it's the winter. So they're not moving a whole lot of cars. But right now there are 14 Pontiacs that are coming up for auction. And they are all G6s. So these auctions go off all over the country. The public is invited to the auctions, unlike auctions that are only for dealers and where you need a dealer's license. These are open to the public. And I'll tell you, I think that if you were going to look for an Uber car that was late model, that could be inexpensive to acquire with low miles on it, you could do a lot worse than a look to your Uncle Sam. So we'll take a look at this. Take a look at this one right here. It's a 2009. It's a bad picture. For some reason, they compress all these pictures. They give you a full rundown on the car. They let you know what features it has and the condition, sometimes the conditions of the tires. They tell you the size and the make of the tires. These G6s are nice cars. The four-door G6s are nice cars. They bought them with either four-cylinder engines or six-cylinder flex fuel engines. They're all automatics, obviously. They tend to mostly have cloth interiors, so that's not a great thing. You know, maybe you could retrofit it if you really want to put on some seat covers so that it doesn't get nasty. The one thing you want to think of is that they may be smoked in, so they may be smokers' cars. When you go to a GSA auction sale, you can climb all over the car. You can start it up. You can look under the hood. You can examine the interior as much as you want to your heart's content, but you are not allowed to drive the car. So you can hear it running. You can see it running before you bid on it, but they roll into the auction lanes, and that is your only opportunity to get a gander at what's going on. And they're not like, you can't ride in it while it's driving. So you are taking a bit of a risk. But this big chunk of G6 Pontiacs represents an interesting opportunity for Uber drivers. And hey, maybe there's a business there, you know, for helping hook up Uber drivers with inexpensive, clean used cars. I think it could be something. That's really interesting. When you go to the GSA website, you can tear through here and look at all the stuff that they're getting rid of. Now, here's one thing that won't work: the par car. This will not work as an Uber car because, well, basically, it's a golf cart. The government is always unloading these little golf cart electric vehicles that you could use for transport someplace, but you're not going to use this as an Uber car. All right, you could use it in your compound. It'd be fun to bounce around your compound with one of those. That's not going to work. Now, remember I mentioned Hummer? Like, boy, why isn't Hummer on that list? How cool would it be to be picked up in a Hummer for people that like Hummers? There are 14 Hummers available on the GSA, coming up in the GSA auctions right now. And these range from, let's see, 2008. They're all, right now, these are all 2008 H3s. There's oodles of them. You can't use them as an Uber car. Can't use them. Sorry, you're out of luck. Now, these are mostly, on GSA, they're mostly live auctions where you have to go to the auction house. Some of them are online. So right now, here's an online auction for a 2008 Hummer H3. And the current bid is $15,000. There are two bidders. This looks like it's in pretty good shape. It has the 5-cylinder engine, 23,000 miles, low miles on a lot of these GSA vehicles. Why did the government buy Hummers? I don't know. But here's your chance to get one at a bargain price from your Uncle Sam. They go into details. You know, here they're showing you where some scratches are. This is nicely documented. That's a good-looking truck, if you like that kind of thing. So, yeah. There's the online stuff, and then there's the in-person stuff. And hopefully this year I'll get to do more in-person stuff. I've gone to a few. I'm going to go back to stop screen sharing. I've done a few of them, Never bought anything. I just go to watch and figure out where the prices are. And it seems like the prices tend to be around like Black Book trade-in value. My dog wants to go out, but she always wants to go out. A Audi. Jay says it's Audi, the British way to say it. Audi. Audi. Or Audi. Ow. Addy. 80. 80. Go figure. You say tomato, I say tomato. Nobody on Twitter is like want to jump on this chat. But here's what I'm going to leave you with, because this could go on for all day. I'm going to dive in. I'm going to dive into this, and I'm going to investigate. I'm going to investigate and figure out, does this make sense? You know, could I possibly make a could I possibly not make a living, but could I supplement my income by driving an Uber car? What would it cost to get in, and would it be profitable? So I had a page open here. I'm going to go into my history. Bear with me for a second. I got to find something. Bear with me for a sec here. Just see if it pops up in my toolbar. Now I got to go into my history. So it's just going to it'll take a moment for me. I got to look earlier today. You know how it is. Oh, here we go. I got it. So I followed a link on Google this morning and found this page. I go back to screen share again. This is a page on the Uber site. This page is get.uber.com/cl/financing/. We'll help you get a new car. Drive your business forward with exclusive vehicle discounts and financing available only for Uber partners. They want to start out by getting your first name, your last name, your email address, your phone number, a password, and the city that you live in. By clicking next, I agree that Uber or its representatives may contact me by email, phone, or SMS, including by automatic telephone dialing systems at the email address or number I provide, including for marketing purposes. I understand that Uber is a request tool, not a transportation carrier. I also confirm that I have read and understand Uber's driver applicant policy statement. There's this big piece of legalese. Oh, wait, it's not big. It's real simple. 1, collection and use of driver information. Uber and its affiliates may collect personal data from the driver during the course of driver's sign up for and for the use of the Uber services, including location data, which information may be stored, processed, and accessed by Uber and its affiliates for business purposes, including for marketing, lead generation, service development and improvement, analytics, industry, and market research, and such other purposes consistent with Uber's and its affiliates' legitimate business needs. Driver expressly consents to such collection and use of personal data. 2, disclosure of driver information to third parties. Subject to all applicable laws, Uber may provide to a third party any information, including personal data and any user Uber data about driver or any transportation services provided hereunder if A, there is a complaint, dispute, or conflict, including an accident between driver on the one hand and a user on the other hand. B, it is necessary to enforce the terms of this agreement. C, is required in Uber's or any affiliate's sole discretion by applicable law, e.g. Uber receives a subpoena or warrant for information. Or D, it is necessary in Uber's or any affiliate's sole discretion to protect the safety, rights, property, or security of Uber, the Uber services, or any third party to detect, prevent, or otherwise address fraud, security, or technical issues, and or to prevent a stop activity Uber or any of its affiliates in their sole discretion consider to be or pose to be a risk of being illegal, unethical, or legally actionable. 3, location-based services consent. Driver expressly consents to Uber's use of location-based services, and driver expressly waives and releases Uber and its affiliates from any and all liability, claims, causes of action, or damages arising from a driver's use of the Uber services or in any way relating to the use of the geolocation and or other location-based services. Okay, yeah, that's not that bad. That's a driver applicant policy. So I would sign up. I'm thinking I'm going to sign up. What the hell? What do I got to lose? You can sign up to drive. It's not like you're signing on the dotted line to get a new car and you're on the hook for $1 jillion every freaking month. So I'm going to sign up to drive. I'm doing some investigative reporting, not investigative journalism, because I am not a journalist. I'm just a writer, vlogger, blogger. I'm a notorious blogger. I want to see if there's something to this. I want to see if it's possible to actually make a buck. I think a lot of it depends on where you live and how many rides you can possibly get. Jay says, yeah, that'd be a great thing to do. Give us your own opinion with no sugarcoating. That's it, man. No sugarcoating. No freaking sugarcoating. And Pedro, what's going on, Pedro? Pedro suggests a used Scion XB. Let's see if let's see if they accept any Scions. I suspect they might not. But let's see. Nope. Sorry. Any Scion is unacceptable as an Uber car. Let me switch. We'll take a look at a few more. Let's take a look at a few more. Because people are streaming in and they want to see what's going on here. I'm going to go back to screen share, full vehicle list, present to everybody. Here we go. All right. So here's the full vehicle list, and here are the Scions. No IQ, no TC, no XB, no XD, and no Smart 4.2. You are out of luck with any of those Scions. Can't work. Let's do a few more of these. So, yeah, the XB, nice box. The XB would be a smart, an intelligent car to use, but you can't use it. The other one I thought of might be really great is the Fit. The Fit's really roomy, but it's too small to use as an Uber car. Sorry, can't use it as an Uber car. I put a proposal into Honda last year to build a Fit to use as an UberX car for SEMA. And I came kind of close to maybe making that happen, but it didn't work out. Now we know why, because you can't use a Fit for Uber. A Fit is not fit for Uber. But let's look at Kia, because Kia makes a lot of affordable things that could work really well. Let's see. The Kia Cadenza works for UberX. The Forte is not acceptable. The K900 works as an Uber Black car. The K900 could be a really cool Uber Black car. Really cool. The Kia Optima works for UberX. The Kia Rio is not acceptable. Hold on a second. It's just GSA auctions telling me that I'm expiring. Let's get out of there. Let's get out of that GSA. I'm going to put some of these links into the comments once this posts, so you can go and take a look at them. Go back to where that where's that full list, full vehicle. There we go. So back to the Kias. Start from the top. That's my dog. You're gonna have to bear with me for 1 second here. Hey, knock it off. Thank you. Please. She'll start barking in a moment. All right, so Kia, sorry about that. The Cadenza, UberX, acceptable. Forte, not acceptable. K900, Uber Black. The Optima, UberX. The Rio, not acceptable. The Sedona, Uber XL. Could be a great choice there. The new Kia Sedona is really nice. The Sorento UberX. The Kia Soul, not acceptable. Can you believe that? The Soul is not acceptable. I think, again, that's an injustice. The Soul would be great as an UberX car because UberX is about cheap, right? The Soul has a ton of room in the back, just a ton of room. Lots of room. So yeah, that's it. None of those little boxy cars. Just not going to work for Uber. Doesn't fit their something. They should be petitioned on that. Why doesn't the Kia Soul work? Why doesn't the Chevy Cruze work? I don't know. Yeah, you know what? I'm just taking a look at my my tweets here. Don't mind me. Oh, so that's where we're at. You got any more suggestions for stuff? You got any questions? I'm going to turn the screen sharing off. And 6 viewers. There's lots of people hanging out today. Got nothing else to do on a Saturday morning. I'm waiting for the snow to start here in Jersey because we're getting more snow tonight. And then it's going to turn into rain. It's going to warm up tomorrow, thankfully, finally, by tomorrow. Yeah. I'm trying to think, what else do I want to take a look at here? I think we pretty much got it. We covered it. So I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna sign up. I'm gonna sign up for the thing. I'm just gonna go look around. I'm gonna find out what the deal is. You know, not to sign until you know what the real deal is. And I'm gonna do the math. I wish I had a 4-door that I could use. But Slambo was a coupe and it won't work, and I can't use my S2000. And I got nothing in the driveway that I could just start driving with. And there needs to be an alternative for people that want to jump on as Uber drivers that is cheaper than these new car deals. And I got an idea for a business model, just popped into my head. We're going to call it UberX for cheapskates, and we're going to hook people up with. We're going to hook people up with G6s. Fantastic cars. Let's go do the research on that. Why get involved with a brand new car for Uber when you could get a perfectly good G6 with low miles that's been maintained by your Uncle Sam? Maybe that's the story. And sometimes it takes a while before you figure out, when you're writing, you're going through the writing process, like, what is the story that I want to tell? I think the story that we want to tell is that while it may seem attractive to become an Uber driver with a brand new car, it ain't the smartest thing in the world. So maybe there's a way to create a fleet of relatively inexpensive, very clean used cars that could be repurposed for Uber. And here's the big twist. They'd be low carbon vehicles because they'd be flex fuel and we could run them on the 85. That car is the V6 Pontiac G6. So out of this experiment this morning, I want to thank you guys and gals for tuning in because I think I came up with something. I might have possibly come up with a business model for something that makes sense, that actually helps people and helps this country. A fleet of Pontiac V6s sourced directly from the federal government to go into Uber to provide jobs and income for people. That could be a pretty compelling thing. Now, none of you better go out and steal that idea because I just had it, and I can't believe that anybody else would have something so screwed up and fantastic as what I'm proposing. But it's Saturday, 11 a.m. on whatever date today is, February 21st. I think I just came up with the idea. I just came up with the big freaking idea. I love ideas more than anything else. No, I love my family more than anything else. But ideas are a great thing because you know what? When you get an idea and you're like, man, I gotta roll with this. I gotta go chase it. I gotta go. I gotta go do the research. Saturday evening for Jake. Almost 5 p.m. So Jake, you must be in Europe someplace, or someplace even further east than that. Fat Fred says, does it have to be a new car? A used Crown Victoria Police Interceptor with the divider still installed would be the only Uber car I'd consider. Man, hold on a sec, because I got you there. You could do that. A Crown Vic would work for UberX, and I think it would be a great choice. I've driven the Crown Vic, and it's a blast to drive. The federal government does have some of those, more than some. Let's just go to that. Vehicle model list over here. Hold on, I'm going to go back. Bear with me for a sec, because I'm going to go back to the GSA site. Present to everyone. Okay, so here I'm back on the GSA website, and they've got this really convenient list here. So they list it twice. They list it as Crown Vic and Crown Victoria, because so many people call it the Crown Vic. And what's a Mercury version? Yeah, there was the other name for it. They bought some interesting cars, man. You can find some, more so than just the Hummer H3s. What did I say? Hummer H3s? So the Pontiac G6 would be a good choice. Oh, what's the other one? Full vehicle list. How about the Impala? Right. So the Chevy Impala qualifies for UberX. The Malibu qualifies for UberX. You're going to find lots of those in the GSA fleet sales. I think I just figured something out. We're going to remember this day. It's a day where I finally had a good idea. So anyway, let's go back. I've already checked off Crown Vic, Crown Victoria, do a search. And you guys can do this on your own and search to your heart's content. So a whole bunch of them are going to come up. 2011, 2008, 2011. These are low miles. Some of these are going to be police versions. Some of them aren't going to be full on, and it's listing some sold stuff for some reason. But there's a lot of them low miles. There'll be a lot of competition for them because people want these to use as taxis. Hey, knock it off, dog. Let's take a look at one. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Hey, you can get one in black. So let's take a look at this one. Nice looking car right there. Is that your Uber car or is that the police rolling up? 2009 Crown Vic. It's got Goodyear tires all around. The 4.6 engine. Some of these will be flex fuel, some not. And, you really don't want a white Uber car, but maybe you could paint it inexpensively or plastidip it. Plastidip it would be a great way to disguise your white Uber car and turn it black really inexpensively. Again, this one looks like it's low miles. It's a 2009 with only 13,000 miles on it. Where else are you going to find that? Your Uncle Sam, GSA Fleet Sales. I have the new business model, kids. That's it. There's one that's salvage. But basically, it's listing everything from 2005 up to 2011 and lots of clean, low-mile cars. Let's go look at Impalas because there's oodles of Impalas there. And so if you wanted that barrier between the driver and the passenger seat, you might have that. The thing that you got to check out though is that Uber might not allow you to drive like that. Uber might not want cars with that barrier. So let's look for Impala here. There are always lots of Impalas. Right now there's 53 of them coming up to auction. And once we get into spring, there'll be a lot more auctions and you'll see just hundreds of them. Hundreds and hundreds of them. So starting 2011 look like the newest vehicles. Some of these are going to be police spec. Here's one with a 6-cylinder flex fuel engine, 2009. Looks nice and clean. It's got tinted windows. It only has 34,735 miles on it. That's clean. That's real clean. And if it's a police spec, you might have the vinyl back seat. They don't have deep detail photographs for the cars that are going to be sold on location. For the stuff that's sold through online GSA auctions, they do provide much more information with photographs. So you got to go and look through that. But there's 43 Impalas. Now these are not desirable the way the Crown Vics are, in that they don't go like they're not crazy fun to drive, but they're solid cars, and they may be perfect. They may be the perfect vehicles to use in the Midwest, where E85 and other high ethanol blends are inexpensive. If you go for one of the flex fuel vehicles, it'll run well on it. Your mileage is gonna come down a bit, but it'll be less expensive per gallon. But you're basically running on 100% domestic fuel. So boy, oh boy, this idea I had just now, maybe that's it. Maybe that's how the federal government gets to move these things at a decent price and creates jobs. I think somebody could put a business plan together. I need to hook up with somebody that's way smarter than me. So lots and lots of Impalas right now, dozens of them. I think it was like 53. Go to the GSA auto auction site. It's autoauctions.gsa.gov, and go poke around and see what you can find. I'm gonna add these links to the comment section, so that when this posts onto YouTube as not being live, then you'll be able to go follow those links. I'll include the Uber list, and I'll include the GSA site, and I'll include links to what do we talk about? The MKZ. I always get confused with these the Lincoln numbers. Mercury was a Grand Marquis. Yeah. I should go back and check and see if there's any Grand Marquis. Jay asks, what do I do for a living? How can you manage between your own job and driving Uber? So I don't have a full-time job. I test cars. I'm a road test. Right now, my official title is road test editor. Not that I have a title, but that's what they call me in the videos. I'm a road test editor for AutoBytel. And every week, when it's not freezing cold out, the auto manufacturers drop off a new car here at my house, and I drive it, and I shoot a video review. And I started doing this in my MPG-O-Matic channel back in 2008, and started working as a contractor for AutoBytel almost 2 years ago. It's a cool life. Everybody loves driving new cars, right? And not paying for them is even better. So one of my neighbors, she said, you have the dream job of every 16-year-old boy. And yeah, maybe it is, but the reality is a really tough way to make a living. It's fun, it's cool, I love it, but it's a real tough way to make the living and keep the lights on. So where I live, it's expensive to live here. New Jersey just sucks that way. It's expensive to live in New Jersey. So if I lived somewhere that was less expensive, I would do what I do forever and figure out a way to squeak by. But I got to find a way to do something else to keep the bills paid. And I thought, maybe Uber is it. Maybe I could do it through Uber. But there's a lot of questions with Uber. I mean, there's a lot of legal questions, a lot of places where you can't use Uber. The Uber company's got huge legal issues to deal with. The city of Philadelphia, no Uber in Philadelphia. I flew into Charleston a few months back, and you head out of the airport, through the airport to baggage claim. And there's a sign that says you can't use Uber here. It's not legal. So there are a lot of places in America and around the world where Uber isn't legal. There are huge legal issues. There's insurance issues, big insurance issues. Like, one of the parts of this research is I'm going to go to my auto insurance company and ask them, hey, can I drive an Uber car and put it on my policy? Is that legal? And then I want to go to the state insurance commissioners and ask them, hey, what's the legal thing here? Do any of these companies have Uber specific policies that I could sign up for just this car? These things got to be answered. You don't want to get into a situation where, oh, you want to be an Uber driver and Uber wants you to be an Uber driver in Philadelphia, but it's not legal. Is it worth getting arrested for? Is it worth getting fined for? Is it worth going to court for? No, none of that is. Who wants to give lawyers any more money than they get? Unless you're like a parent of a kid that you just put through law school. Come on, seriously. Lawyers make everything more expensive. So you don't want to do stuff that's illegal that's going to get you in trouble. So I'm going to sign up. I'm going to sign up on that page, and we'll see how it goes, man. I'm going to do the math, and I'm going to figure out how many rides do I have to do. But I'm not getting on the hook. I don't want to get on the hook for a car loan or a big lease payment if I know it's not going to be possible. What if I get into this and I decide I don't want to do it? What if it sucks? Seriously. You start driving and you just don't like it, or you can't make enough money, or whatever the problem is. It doesn't work anymore. So I'm not going to rush into getting on a hook for a big loan payment or a lease payment. Just not going to do it. I mean, the one thing that I've learned over the last however many years I've been driving and test driving is that while I love new cars, before you get involved in that relationship, you better be damn sure that that's the one you want to be involved with. It's just like marriage, except that a car you could trade in, you could sell it. So you just want to know that it's going to work out and that you're going to dig it. Lincoln MKZ, I love that car. I could drive it. I could put hundreds of thousands of miles on it if I'm making money from it. But other than that, I personally am not going to buy one because I'm cheap. No, it's a great car. It's an awesome car. So yeah, I'm going to wrap this up. We've been rolling for like an hour and a quarter. And I don't know if this answered any questions or not, or if it's going to help you out or not. But this is the first episode. I'm going to investigate. Consider me your investigative blogger, vlogger, whatever the heck it is. And the piece that I'm most interested in is, can you supply Uber drivers with less expensive, more cost-effective options? I might have a model. Maybe. Who knows? So I have to come up with at least one wacky business model a month. I'm sorry, a week, not a month. I come up with at least one a week, and then I chase it for a little while and go, that's not going to work. But this one could work. Uber's got so much attention. Fat Fred wrote, the Washington Post reporter Catherine Rampel has some articles about Uber that you should read. Yeah, Catherine's awesome. I don't know her, but I follow her on Twitter and I read a lot of her stuff. And I'm gonna go read all of her articles. And yeah, and doing what I do, I get to meet a lot of reporters, a lot of real journalists, and lots of crazy bloggers. But Catherine writes really great stuff. Her Twitter feeds is one of the ones that I find to be, what's the right word? It's sterling. I mean, it's good. She doesn't post junk. So if you're on Twitter and you're looking for someone that posts on topics like this to follow, definitely. I'm going to go look it up. And as with anything, I come up with these ideas and I pitch them to people and see what they think. There should be, or there will be, not should be, there will be documentaries made on Uber and on how it affects people's lives and the amount of money that's pouring into the company and who's really making money from it, whether it's a good thing for America, whether it's a good thing for the drivers. Whenever I take an Uber ride, I always chat with the drivers. I mean, to me, that's the best part of the Uber experience. It's cheaper, yeah, but like you're in New York City, most of those New York City taxi drivers, I'm not saying they're not capable of conversations, but they just don't want to have them. Uber drivers, on the other hand, are happy to have conversations. And I usually have conversations back in the day when I would take anytime I'm in a car service car, I'll always chat a little bit with the driver. Some drivers want to chat, some don't. And the ones that want to chat, it's real interesting to find out why they're doing what they do. Because in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, yeah, maybe I could do that. That would be an okay thing. Driving is easy. Carrying bags to the airport, that's the part that sucks. I hate carrying bags over long distances, heavy bags, but they roll. It's not too bad. But I could pick people up at the airport and drop them off. Drop them off is easy. Picking them up, then you got to wait around. That's the downside. But then once you're at the airport, you've got to sit around and see if you can get a fare back to make the time worthwhile. So if you're doing this full time, you got to be a hunter. You got to hunt it out. Hunt out the stuff. So anyway, we're an hour and 20 minutes into this. Thank you everybody for stopping in. You got any more questions? Hit me with them in the next 2 minutes, because I'm gonna hit the stop broadcast button and try and get some stuff done around the house. Yeah. Uber. Would you drive Uber? What car would you pick? I'm gonna post this video up on my website too, up on mpgomatic.com. And if you haven't been to mpgomatic.com, go see the stupid stuff that I write about. And it's going to start off the conversation. Would you buy a car to use for Uber, and which car would work? I might wait a couple of days before posting this, because I want to chase that GSA idea I had. So that could be kind of cool. That could be a thing. Hey, Fat Fred, have a good day, and good luck to you too. Thanks everybody else for stopping in. Jake, Pedro, Jay, and anybody else who's still here. It's been cool. And Saturday morning is a good time to do this, because people seem to have time to kill. And I did one yesterday at Friday. I don't know if I'm going to keep those ones online. But this one, I think, we got someplace. There was some interesting stuff. Kind of took you on a little voyage. We did some investigative vlogging. And maybe we were figuring some stuff out. Have an awesome weekend. Take care.